is doing well, but Amen to a good ROAS to everybody, right? And only 20% go towards retaining those customers. Now let me give you a scenario wherein you spend a bomb to get the customer in. All of us spend a bomb, right? All of us really spend a bomb to get the customer acquired. Be it a B2B customer or B2C customer, doesn't matter. We spend money to get the customer in. Not only also on perks, but also on giving discounts. But if the same customer you're not able to retain, you're in for trouble. There was a research by BCG which mentioned companies which retain 5% of their customers are able to increase their profitability by 25 to 95%. Because a customer retained is a customer who will give you that profit, which all of us are gunning for, right? But the efforts have been disproportionate towards acquisition. And I don't blame anyone. That's how founders are. That's how the market is, right? Acquire. Facebook पे ROAS गिर रहा है, Instagram पे ad नहीं आ रहा है. What the heck is Google doing right now? Why did iOS did that to Facebook? Right? All those things are buzzing. But how do we retain customers is the question. And there is a forum here today, and there are my colleagues who are going to be speaking about it. I think all of them are very important contributors to that cause. Because when you're talking about retaining a customer or generating consumer loyalty, how does it happen? Why should a customer be loyal to you? If you say price, then price is not loyal. Because we say that we are the first discounted, most discounted product, and customers come and buy it again, there will be another brand who will come and lower the price, and the customer goes off. That's not customer loyalty. Customer loyalty is when you are able to get the customer to come back either on the same price or for a better one. That means the customer values your brand. Now, it can be generated through means, any means of things. Now, just to give you perspective, when you speak to brands like Apple, or let's say Enfield, anyone here who's using an Apple? Yeah? Do you guys will ever move to Android? Yeah, I heard no, right? Because Apple brand itself is loyalty. Same goes for Enfield or Harley Davidson users. They don't need a program because the brand is the loyalty itself. But building a brand takes ages, investment, time. और हमारे पास तो है नहीं. तो टाइम होता नहीं है. या तो प्रेशर है आपकी सेल साइकिल का या VC का. Am I right here? Please don't get me wrong here. I'm not here to make fun of anyone, but true, right? Right, true. So we can go for shortcuts. Right? But those shortcuts can be smart, and that's what we're here to figure out what can be those shortcuts. But shortcuts need to be not hacks. Loyalty is not a short-term game, guys. It is a slow burn. You have to be at it. Which means all the contributing factors in the business need to work together. It cannot be just one great CRM solution. It cannot be one great logistics solution. It cannot be one great loyalty solution. All have to work in tandem. And if all the pieces work together well, that's when loyalty will start kicking in. Right? So let's try and figure out what goes wrong. What is the problem? And let's move. So right, we spoke about it, right? In a day, a founder is stuck with so many things in life. Right from customer लाने से लेके drop off तो नहीं हो रहा है, add to carts are working well, no payment abandonment, go quick नहीं चल रहा है ना, right? Order place हो गया है तो customer का tag तो suffer नहीं कर रहा है, order place हो गया है तो customer को मिल गया है, वो return तो नहीं कर रहा है. There is so much to think, and there is a small team or a guy running it. So there is so much of things which are going on in a founder's mind. But primarily everything is around acquiring the customer and retaining the customer. Right? All of us agree on that? Yeah, acquisition, right? Favorite topic. I'm talking about retention, but let's start with acquisition. Right? Acquisition in a startup or a D2C brand can happen in two ways. Direct or indirect. Direct acquisition is where you're using perf or marketing means to get a customer to your own D2C platform. Right? And the customer gives you information and you start interacting with them. Second is the indirect way of acquisition. Though people say it's acquisition, I don't believe it. It's marketplaces. You list your product on marketplaces, your product is getting sold. But guys, you are getting an order from there. You're not getting a customer from there. So if you want to talk about customer loyalty, you need to talk about your own platform. because organic loyalty will generate from there. Yes, marketplaces also help to get the brand out there. Both are important. But to work on loyalty, you need to work towards the product, which is the main thing. If the product doesn't work, doesn't matter what other solutions you have. But if the product works, marketplaces will get you the branding, your own platform will get you the customers, which is why we are all here for, which is where what will make us money, which is what will get us better funding in the evening today. Right? So when you talk about acquisition, we have with information. Person who has information is the king, which is why 90% of our marketing spend are with Facebook or Google. 90 से भी ज़्यादा ही होगा, I'm sure. Right? Is there any other challenge I'm missing out? When I say Facebook, Insta is part of Facebook. Now, have you heard that ROASs are declining? All of us are suffering with the same problem. Any hypothesis why? Because we've spoken to a lot of people in Facebook and Google. We have friends. I'm ex-Flipster, by the way. I'm ex-Flipkart. So we've spoken to a lot. क्यों हो रहा है? Because it's a black box. There are hypotheses that you can have. Couple of big ones which came across to me. In urban India, where your first adopters of D2C customers are, correct? First adopters are primarily coming through Facebook and Insta. And the growth of this customer base on Facebook and Insta is slow because they've already penetrated the urban market. And the rural market or the tier 3 markets are more there for not buying products, but to put content. They will get there. We'll get there with them also. But that is the problem. So the funnel is getting smaller. And the brands are increasing. So it's a demand-supply mismatch. Have you realized for the past 3 years, big platforms like Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra, all these guys have quadrupled the number of sale events. एक टाइम होता था फ्लिपकार्ट या मिंत्रा में आप जाएंगे EORS 1 होता था जो अभी जून में होगा और एक EORS 2 होता था जो एंड ऑफ द ईयर होगा. आज हर दूसरे दिन एक EORS होता है. If one platform announces sale, the other has to combat. Because of which again, the media pipeline gets choked. कस्टमर तो उतने ही है. अब इंप्रेशन अगर ये लोग ले जाएंगे, जो बचा हुआ है वो आप लोग लड़ रहे हैं. If demand is higher than supply, economics, right? Prices will go up. Are we all suffering from that? Right? So this was one key hypothesis. Now coming to the point that we spent a lot of money to get the customer in, ले आए हैं. अब उसको बचाना भी जरूरी है. This is what we call a gaping leaky bucket. The gaping leaky bucket syndrome is as simple as that. आप customer लाए अपने bucket में, but आपने retention पे effort नहीं मारा. You did not invest in retention. And I am not saying loyalty program is the only. There are multiple ways. We'll talk about them also a little. And my fellow colleagues will also talk about it, right? There are enough people who talk about it, right? From logistics to payments to CRM players. All of us contribute to the same cause. Now, if you get a customer into the bucket and you don't take care of them, the same customer is still getting targeted elsewhere. And they will just go away if the experience is not cool. Which means it's a gaping hole in a bucket, which is a leaky bucket syndrome. Right? Which I also mentioned, by the way. It's 5x less expensive to hold on to a customer than to acquire one. But we keep acquiring. We keep talking about ROAS. जो आ गया है उस पर भी इन्वेस्ट करना जरूरी है आपको. टाइम और पैसा दोनों. Right? पैसा और टाइम दोनों. I'm against testing it. And you have to be patient with these guys. In a platform, big platform also, right? There are customer cohorts. The customer cohort starts with the guy who's just done the first transaction. That is called the entry point cohort. And then there are the customer cohort which is called brand advocates, which are doing, let's say, 15, 20 transactions. Hypothetically, maximum possible transactions. Loyalty has to work for both. Why? Because niche wala customer has to go to transaction number 2, transaction number 3. And the guy who's sitting right on top, if they churn out, they're going to take business worth 10 customers out of the system. Both are important. Both have different requirements. One needs to be kept appeased. Second needs to start enjoying the platform more. Because the guy who's doing 20 transactions is already loyal to you to a certain extent. But they cannot churn out. So both approaches need to be different. Anyone questioning here, or does anyone have a variant point of thought on this? All of us agree on this? Yeah? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now we'll talk about loyalty. Okay, how do we do it? The customer has come in, transaction to ho chuki hai. How do we safeguard them? It starts from the product. The first transaction has happened, the product experience has to be perfect. Near perfect, because competition is hard. guys, which means order placement, which means payment experience, which means the CRM after that, which means the logistics after that. If that is all done, then a loyalty program will kick in the effect. All have to work simultaneously. There are key questions of क्यों करें? Objectives तो पता होने चाहिए. If anything is done without objectives, कुछ नहीं होगा, right? All of us agree on that. What are the objectives of a loyalty program? Anyone? Why should we have one? There has to be objectives, right? Objective number one is, how do you increase TPC of a customer? TPC is transactions per customer. This is the cohort which will go up from bottoms, right? Second is churn control. Churn control is the customer who is doing 5 transactions, how many of them customers in that cohort are still doing 5? How many move to the next bucket lower than that? So you prevent the bucket from going down and you keep moving customers from bucket. There are only 2 objectives for any loyalty program or any loyalty construct. If someone says there's a third one, I want to hear that out, right? Sir?
Increasing the value might not be just number of brands, but what if the customer user more product?
Absolutely, sir. Upselling, right? So the point is, if the customer does 1, 2, 3, 4 transactions, each one is an interaction. Each interaction is an opportunity to upsell. So in an organization, if a customer is doing 5 transactions, is that guy more loyal to you, or is a guy who's done 2 but let's say did a one big ticket size? The guy who did 5 because he made the effort of coming to you 5 times. Frequency, exactly. If frequent customers are there, the AOV will go up on its own. It's an organic thing, right? Because the customer believes कि अच्छी जगह अच्छा माल मिलता है, इससे और चीजें try करते हैं. New products launches, they'll be the first one to adopt, right? Slow moving inventory, big pain, right, for brands. Big pain, dead inventory. Can the dead stock be liquidated to these customers? They'll primarily say, हाँ दे दो. Right? These are all things which are very, very, very common sense. But we have to just think about them. So I'm thinking the program has to span over all the things. But let's talk about the loyalty program that today I am a specialist in. So just to give you background now about myself, I've been in this space for 12 years. How many of you know of a company called Payback? Sir, आपको तो पता है. So I worked in Payback for 6.5 years, building multiple businesses. Where I worked before POP, I'm sure more hands will go up. How many of you have heard of this currency called Super Coins at Payback or Flipkart? So I was building that currency for them while I was at Payback. So I come from this world of loyalty programs and currencies, right? But like I said, that's not the only factor. Everything else is also a factor. Let's talk about currency ecosystem, right? Today brands have loyalty programs. Shopify brand है यहाँ पे, Shopify में apps है, Smile है, Stamped है, बहुत अच्छी थी apps है, all are great stuff, right? What they give you is what you call a standalone loyalty program. If you do research and if you ask your friends कितने loyalty program का part हो, तो बोलेगा किसी का नहीं हो, बोल देगा. But in reality, wherever you give your phone number, you're part of that program. While doing research, while I was at Flipkart, we had the means and money to do it, right? Urban India is part of 14 programs on an average, which means 14 places have your number and you are part of their loyalty cohort. Someone will call it points, someone will call it points, someone will call it leaves, someone will call it anything else they want to call it. How many do you remember in that research? Any guesses? How many were they aware of? 0.23%. 0.23% is what they remember. Credit card programs. Second is the vintage program. When I say vintage, they were first pioneers of loyalty in the country. Any guesses which brand? Shopper Stop First Citizen. All of us have interacted with that? That is the first loyalty program in this country along with Jet Miles. Vintage value, vintage recall. Third, and this was the highest cohort. Super Coins, Tata Neo, and Payback. सर मतलब मैं तो अनबायस्ड गया था वहाँ पे, but टाटा नियो भी है वहाँ पे. Why? Any guesses why? Correct. These currencies were acceptable at multiple places, which means customer felt जब ये मिलता है तो ये पैसा है. Supercoins could have been used at Flipkart, Myntra, Claytrip across, at that time, I don't know what is the number now, across 50 plus online stores, 1000 plus, 1 lakh offline stores to PhonePe. As good as money, right? Tata Neo, you all heard IPL में splash कर रहे हैं. It is across all Tata brands, which means the currency is fungible. Payback was actually the first attempt in this country, so again the vintage value to a certain extent, same concept. Why is that happening? Why is customer remembering it? One principle only, relevance. At organization we get rewarded for good work, right? Salary तो मिलती है, उसके अलावा बोनस मिलता है, right? या कुछ इंसेंटिव मिलता है. सर आपको वैल्यूएशन मिलती है. I hope अच्छा एग्जिट भी मिले, right? But point is, if I tell you your incentive is equal to some coin, which can only be used for, let's say, buying cold drinks, and I'll give you 500 of them, versus I'll give you 100, but 100 can be used across, let's say, 15 things. What will you choose? Anyone who goes with the first one, cold drink level? No. All of you will go with the second one? Raise of hands. Anyone with the first one? No. I think sir was doing something else. Hail Hitler, something else. Right. Relevance is purely because of that. Evidence to that fact is as simple as this. There is something called, a metric called redemption rate, which is the bread and butter of any loyalty program. Redemption rate is basically number of coins redeemed divided by number of coins or points issued, which is equal to our adoption. Just to give you ranges of numbers, Chopper Stop, amazing program, in this peak was hovering around 20%, which is not bad at all. Jet or bank programs hover between 35 to 50%. I'm talking about the good ones, not the bad ones. Payback India in its peak, 78%. Tata Neo and Flipkart Supercoins, above 60%. Great, right? Amazing things. Payback Germany, 98%. Every third German is a payback customer. Every 8th German has the payback app. Only basis one currency, because they made it bloody relevant to the customer base. Rakuten, anyone who's heard of the brand called Rakuten in Japan? They have a currency called Super Points. 93%. They bought a company called eBay worth $1 billion to run that currency. That big an investment. There's a brand called Sainsbury in the UK. They run this currency coalition called Nectar. Not Nectar.io, which is in India. Nectar. Again 90%. Across. Relevance to the customer will lead to loyalty. If you're building a currency which is not relevant, you're just doing a tick mark. In my opinion. Any opinion is right. In my opinion, I'm giving you. Any currency which is not usable by the customer and not relevant is just a currency which you're giving because you want to run a program. So when you design your program, you have to be cognizant of the fact whatever you build is relevant to the customer. Second kind of program that people taggle their heads around. Would you call Prime a loyalty program? Amazon Prime? Why? Best loyalty program. Who said that? आपने बोला सर क्यों? The idea is correct. It's not a loyalty program. It is what you called a privilege program. Membership program. And just to give you perspective, more than majority, and I can't give you the exact numbers, use Prime membership only to watch content. More than majority of customer base that Prime talks about is got through telco partnerships. जिसने Amazon पे loyalty दिखानी थी वो program लेता है. So it is not to get the lower customers to come up. It is to safeguard the best customers. So in that logic, absolutely bang on. It's a loyalty program for them. Can I keep them happy? In less money, can I give them the world? If you ask any program manager in Prime, जो सिर्फ content से commerce पे आ रहे हैं, those numbers are still far away from desired. Not in the US, in India I'm talking about. US is working fabulously well because US means they build a brand up. Prime is a brand. Prime is not only at Amazon, Prime is at multiple other brands. The benefit go across places, right? So now coming to the fact, let's build a program. Program has multiple things. Program has two things. First is the relevance. Second, it needs to work tandem with everyone else you're working with, which means it needs to be deeply talking to your CRM. Control folks are here, right? Today? Oh, sir, you're there. Extremely important. If your journeys are incorrect, program will not help. If program is incorrect, journeys will not help. Payments. GoQuick team is there. I give you 1,000 coins, but payments are not going through. It's worthless. It needs to talk to each other. Logistics is there, right? Sir, if logistics doesn't work, no program in this world will work. Even a prime will not get you anywhere if they're not able to get you that product in one day, which they promised. Right? Everything needs to work in tandem and coming to be the customer relevance. Anyone, any question on this? Customer relevance is the primary key to any program. Right? So if you want to build a program, house and order, build a program which is relevant to the consumer. Now what is a relevant program? I have interacted with multiple. आप लोगों ने give me any program offline में किसने बात की होगी program में? Any program that you've worked in the offline stage? Offline में जब आपने दुकान में गए और उसने points redeem करा दिए, बहुत Shopper Stop पे आप गए, right? Sodexo is a payment product. Easy Reward is a company which enable program, but fair point. So let's say Vistara, yes, Vistara, right? So Vistara में points redeem करना actually airlines is a bad example because to redeem points there it's a pain. Because blackout date, seats available नहीं है, upgrade नहीं कर सकते because किसी ने seat ले ली है. But offline I was talking about Shopper Stop. When you are in the queue, the customer executive asks you, सर आपके पास शॉपर स्टॉप पॉइंट है, क्या मैं रिडीम कर लूँ? सबके साथ हुआ है और आप बोलते कर दे, करेक्ट? कोई मना तो नहीं करता यहाँ पे, कोई दिलदार आदमी तो नहीं है कि मैं इसको जायदाद में बच्चों को देके जाऊँगा, राइट? लाइक एवरीवन इज अ बिलियनियर ऑन क्रेडिट, राइट? एनीवन हु इज नॉट अ मिलियनियर, आई एम गोना क्वेश्चन यू नाउ. सर उनके सामने बट पॉइंट बीइंग दैट आपने जब पेमेंट पे गए, were you tilted to change your decision because your points were redeemed, or you had already made the decision to make the purchase because you were all standing in the queue? Product लेके आप खड़े थे ना थैले में. Any currency which is only present at checkout is not making the decision change. It's not delta. So that is P0, priority 1, to sort out. How will you sort it out? Now let's start with the starting point. People in the online world, websites. Yes, sir.
So you talked that the value of a loyalty program is based on how much liquidity you can get.
Liquidity is one of the key factors. Ubiquity and liquidity.
Credit की बात हुई तो just hit me. Credit पे तो बहुत brands हैं, right? Like there's so many ways to liquidate on credit, yet no one values a credit card.
I'll tell you why. I'll come to that also. I'll come back to your question. Let's park it for now. I'll come back to your question. Very fair question to ask, right? And I'll answer that. Right? So now let's come to the first part. ये तो हो गया end part. First part होता है when customer in our world, in Shopify world, needs to enroll into the program. Because problem in Shopify websites is it's based on email. Are we an email nation? No. We are an OTP nation. We are lazy people. हमें नहीं पासवर्ड याद रखना, हमें कैप्चा नहीं भरना है, हमें वो गेम नहीं खेलना है, वो identify the car. All of you feel it's a pain, right? This is evidence from the fact, and I don't know if Shopify folks are here. Login into the Shopify world is very less. Logged in customer versus guest checkouts. That is evident to the fact that people are not logging in. So first step is how do you solve that login? And we'll talk about it, that how do you see it needs to start from there. Get customers to log in and be a part of the program. Right? Now let's move forward. There are 4 key journeys in that. Home page, product listing page, anyone who can add others also. I'm talking about the top 4. Your product description page and the cart. Before checkout, these are the 4 key pages where customer is going through. Your program needs to transcend across these 4 pages. Which means customer को पता होना चाहिए कि जो आप दे रहे हो उसको कैसे ले सकते हैं और कैसे दे सकते हैं अपने फायदे के लिए. which is earn and burn of a currency. If it's not in funnel, either the customer will never log in or they will not realize कि उनको कुछ फायदा हुआ है क्योंकि आपने चेकआउट पर डाल दिया था, थिंकिंग दैट वो मैं इजी कर दूंगा कस्टमर के लिए तो रिडेम्पशन बढ़ जाएगा, राइट? Secondly, the customer needs to enroll to show intent of usage. If you build a currency which is automatically everything works seamlessly, then the customer doesn't realize the benefit. Hence, customer intervention is important. So let's start. Customer needs to get enrolled and become part of the program. First problem to solve. How do we do it? By ensuring means that customer is able to see the program very well on the home page. They're able to click and see the benefit very clearly, and they're able to get into the program. Unfortunately, emails is the only thing which is there on Shopify. I'm sure we'll work on. Plus, I'm sure और options है. I hope आप plus ले लो आप लोग सब. वो बोल रहा है मुझे बोलने के लिए. They're just kidding there, right? But there are ways of solving it. We will talk offline about it because that my product comes. I don't know pitch my product today. It's about solving problems. Second is throughout the journey, integrate the program as part of the journey. It should not look off. It needs to be part. कि अगर मैं ये product खरीद रहा हूँ, let's say, तो मैं इस पे coin कितने कमा सकता हूँ, कितने मिलेंगे, या कितने देने से मुझे ये सस्ते मिल जाएगा. So let me give you an example. I don't know if you've come across this on Flipkart. There are two prices at times given. One is let's say 100 rupees. One says 90 plus 10 super coins. Which means you're telling the customer, आपको ये product 90 में मिल सकता है. In India, does price perception drive conversions? It does, right? That thing is not to build loyalty because in day one, loyalty will not build. That intervention of the currency is to build conversions. If it's in the funnel, it will help you convert faster. Hypothesis है, proof तो जब हम live करेंगे तब पता लगता है, right? But hypothesis is strong. Logically speaking, Indian consumers. When you go into the PDP, same conversation, कितने मिलेंगे, कितने मिल सकता है. When you're in a cart, that's the last step. If you are able to get the customer to realize and understand कितने में क्या मिल सकता है, the conversion can be crazy good. Your add to cart rates can go up by as good as 30%. This is my true belief. If it's done right. If it's done right. Right. So it has to be integrated in the journey. It has to be high login. It cannot only be a checkout, right? Because checkout has other things to do and take care of, right? Because decision to buy the product ends at cart, primarily. After that, it is the experience which matters, which I think the Go team will pick up, right? How is the post-cart experience important to lead to higher conversion? The team is pick it up here, right? But primarily, if you do this, you're home. I will be more than happy to take questions now. आपको सब समझ आ गया तो वो भी अच्छी बात है. But yeah, please feel free to ask. I have to answer your questions. Cred, right? Cred. So if I tell you a currency can only be redeemed if you're in my world, right? Versus a currency which can be redeemed across the globe. Cred also has something called Cred Pay, at payment. The reason I was holding you back, the payment question was coming. If I add consideration at the payment, I am not changing anything for a decision to change. I am not leading to any better decision making for the brand. Yes, I am giving additional discount on checkout, but the decision doesn't change. The loyalty is being driven to Cred as a payment mode, not to the brand which is actually accepting the payment. Because if Cred was not there, some wallet would be there, UPI would be there, right? There are enough players who are incentivizing UPI payments. Why? Because there is no MDR. There is no MDR, right? I hope that answers your question to a certain extent. Relevance on Cred. If everything happens on Cred, the customer has to go to Cred, right? If I have to talk about a multi-currency loyalty program, multi-platform, I can go to Cred, I can go to Flipkart, I can go to, let's say, Claytrip, I can go to here, I can go there. It's across the platforms. It's not on one. If you talk about Tata Neo, it's an ecosystem program. Chroma पे भी चलता है, मैं Chroma जा रहा हूँ. क्यूमिन में भी चलता है, विस्तारा में भी चलता है, इधर भी चलता है. उनके प्लेटफॉर्म पे वेल इंटीग्रेटेड है, उनका भी सेम प्रोग्राम है. Having a same program versus having liquidity only on checkout are two different things. Yes, redemption can be high, but still all of us are millionaires, like as you mentioned, right? People are not adopting. It has to be part of the journey which I explained. It needs to be a program of the brand, not just another checkout solution. On checkout, Paytm भी तो cashback देता है, right? It's more about building loyalty for that payment mode कि मैं कुछ दे रहा हूँ extra, not for the brand. And it's like I said, it's my opinion. It's not like it's truth, right? Just sharing opinion there. Yeah, I hope we can discuss more about it if you're not convinced.
Their claim is that they are building a gated community, right?
Yes.
Very high trust.
HNI customers.
HNI customers.
Yes.
So,
Yes, they are. They're not wrong. They're true. They are building customers. They're ring-fencing customers for the benefit of fintech on credit. Their end play is fintech, loans, not loyalty. When I'm saying loyalty, it needs to be ingrained into a brand. Is Credit Coins, is the loyalty program of, let's say, any brand sitting here, then I am with you on that. Then it will work. Then it will work. Thank you, but for the question. We'll discuss more, of course. Anything from this side? Any questions? It was that great a presentation.
I have a question.
Please, ma'am.
So actually, what we've noticed when working on our brand is that loyalty typically with this whole.
Ma'am, what brand also?
I run a brand called Kite Story.
Guys, please buy from Kaisuri also.
So basically, what we've noticed is that this whole instant gratification where discounts have become a very big thing.
It is.
Whether it's a first buyer or a customer's coming back to us, they prefer that instant gratification than to
Yes.
do a loyalty program.
Yes.
One. For a category that I work, what we've seen, and multiple conversations with many brands is that for something which is bought regularly, like a wellness category, something which has got repeat purchase every month.
Yes.
Probably loyalty works better, and there is no a structured program for brands like as to how to use that loyalty or rewards better.
Correct.
So how do we do this, or?
Valid question.
Yeah.
I'll take the first question which you said that discount.
Yeah.
Guys, discount cannot beat anything. But problem is discount is a fair weather friendship. Which means आज आप discount दे रहे हो तो आपका दोस्त है, कल कोई और देगा तो उसका दोस्त बन जाएगा. What a currency, they have to stand together. Eventually a currency, if built strongly, will start reflecting discount. So let me give an example. Let's say I tell the customer, and I'm assuming that the currency is established to a certain extent. थोड़ी है मेहनत हम उस पर कर चुके हैं, right? कि मैं तेरे को 100 कॉइन दे रहा हूँ वर्सेस 50 रुपए का डिस्काउंट दे रहा हूँ. Our hope is कि वो 100 कॉइन्स को प्रेफर करना शुरू कर दे, which will happen with time, right? And I'll give you data on what we've done later on, right? How it is happening, right? Not to the extent that I wish it could, but yes, we are on the way. Now, if the customer chooses the 100 rupees, 100 coins, two things happen. One, the customer has a perception उसको 100 रुपए मिले हैं, correct? और पर ब्रांड का खर्चा हुआ नहीं है अब तक 100 रुपए का, क्योंकि वो करेंसी जाके उसके वॉलेट में बैठ गई है. When you're talking about an ecosystem currency, which is what Friend of Brands is also saying, it's an ecosystem program. That currency we might not benefit the brand there, but the customer got the perception मुझे इस ब्रांड ने 100 रुपए दे दिए हैं. वो 100 रुपए लेके let's say प्योर पे चल जाएगा. प्योर इज देयर, राइट? प्योर पे जाके रिडीम कर लेगा. कस्टमर नाउ हैज कि 100 रुपए वहाँ मिले थे, मैंने प्योर पे. Now 100 rupees which pure funded because customer benefited there has had two brands. Wishing for the customer, but you did not go out of pocket by 50 rupees because when you give a discount, you're out of pocket straight away. It's a straight P&L hit. In currency, it's a deferred hit. And only for customers who redeem, which means आपने दिया तो है, कोई redeem करेगा तो ही आपका खर्चा हो रहा है. Which means the desired impact or experience or what the customer desired behavior is, that's only you're spending on. It cannot kill discounts overnight. It's a hope that we will create a balance. But it starts with 5% here, 95% discount, and hope you come to a journey where it's equally standing there. Rakuten actually took that journey. Today, Rakuten discounts, funded discount, 90% is on super points, 10% pricing. But Rakuten being Rakuten, right? We hope to get there as a community. The intent is to get there as a community, which is where the part of the community is important. I have never seen, and to be very honest, I'm from Flipkart, always with the big organization. Before Kshitij, Shruti and Abhishek got me here and talking about it and understanding what happens. I've never seen a more close-knitted community. The other day in Bombay, Abhishek was standing with two competitors having a gala time. Right? It is amazing they share ideas. Right? They don't feel their competition. They feel they're part of the same community. If that is we are able to establish, Friend of Brand is actually a step in that. What we are trying to build with partnership with them is also a step in that. United we get better. We'll still stand divided, but united we'll get better. That's the first question. Second question you asked, ma'am, was fashion. Fashion. Now, when you're talking about ecosystem currency, fashion में problem क्या होती है? Customer points इकट्ठे करेगा और शायद कहीं और ले लेगा. But आप ये याद रखिए, बाकी community भी आपके साथ काम कर रही है. So when the customer came to your shop, he might have had points collected from, let's say, elsewhere. Now, if that leads to conversion on fashion, loyalty might be there, but conversion is still a problem. So let's say I come to your online shop and I suddenly realize I have 200 points. My first thing is, can I redeem it here? Because इंसान ऐसे ही सोचता है कि मुझे 200 रुपये पड़े, मैं इसको इस्तेमाल कर सकता हूँ यहाँ पे, चलो कर लेते हैं. That is leading to conversion. So in this program, loyalty is a long-term game. You have to be patient. And it works in fashion also, by the way, because it's over a period of time. Like I said, patience तो है नहीं. Startup से हमें भी नहीं है. नहीं होती है, ma'am. Very true. Today, can you build a solution which aids in today's problem, which is convergence, right? Convergence, can I help in conversion by building a better mousetrap of what is there in the market, right? I will take more questions, but I think my colleagues, I will take a question, sir. Last question, but I will, and then we are there for the whole day. We will have a gala time and having questions. And we'll make fun of no one. Okay, only cred. No, I'm just kidding you. But yes, sir, last question I'll take it.
Correct me if my understanding is wrong. So these super coins and Tata Neo and all that, so somewhere the loyalty is still part of the ecosystem.
Yes, they're ring-fencing the customer.
So the money might go into this pocket as well, because ultimately money comes to me. But whereas when you bring in a third party, when a third party vendor comes in and they're building a new loyalty program, so let's say if someone buys something from my store, and he gets a loyalty there. Now he uses their points with some other store. So where is the incentive for it to come back to my own store?
Sure, fair question. I think the same question she also asked. Same answer, but I'll repeat. So let's assume a customer journey and we just take 1 minute. I promise not more than that, Chitij, right? Let's say customer came to your store, took a currency. Now you could have given your currency, let's say X coins. X coins can only be utilized on your store. I just started the thing that customer is part of 14 programs. Redemption rate of such currencies in India is less than 5%. Do you want to give them something that they don't care about? That's the first problem to solve. Now let's say you give them a currency which can be utilized somewhere else. When the customer walked off that order, he thought he got 10 points, right? He's not utilized it. The perception of the customer, he got 10 rupees from you that he can use elsewhere. You've not spent that 10 rupees. It is just a perception right now. Now, if the customer uses that 10 rupees to you, you are funding that discount, so the customer gives the benefit back to you. But if that customer took that 10 rupees and let's say again, I'll take the example of Pure, go there, you help them get a transaction. Now, simply you are, let's say, there are 100 companies in the ecosystem. You're one of the 100. The 99 out there are also issuing same coins. The 99% customers or brands are supporting your cause. If I came to your store and I was carrying currency, let's say from Almo, because Almo gave me that, I'll utilize it here. I feel Almo helped me because Almo is giving me a valid currency and I was able to use it you and you are allowing a redemption. In that same transaction, you would have also issued coins. So the circle is going. It's a circle. It's a flywheel. You understand a flywheel, right? Yes. It's a flywheel. What is important, and I'll leave you that, is the first redemption. Get the first redemption fast, either in your platform or anywhere else, and then the flywheel will kick in. The customer needs to get used to it. It's like, a bad example, it's like Coke. Once used to it, you can't leave it like easily. That's all it is. But I will be here throughout the day. We'll have more interactions. I think my colleagues on the next session is waiting, right? Thank you a lot, guys, for being patient listeners. Right? Lovely interacting. Thank you, Kshitij.
Thank you so much, Rajat. I think it was an insightful session around growth and loyalty. And Rajat, I think in his entire talk kept on mentioning about a very, very interesting next solution that we have, which is the checkout solution by Team GoQuick. Let me give you guys a brief intro. So I'm a user of GoQuick as well and have seen some phenomenal results, but I'll leave it for them to talk more about it. They will help you talk about few interesting aspects of checkout and RTOs that they've been able to solve and how do they do that. So over to the team at GoQuick here. Guys, a big round of applause for the team at GoQuick.